So, with the release of the final season of Bleach, the Thousand Year Blood War, right around the corner, we are going to be having a premiere of the new season out in theaters in June. And I am very excited to catch a theater near me and see the first, I believe, 3 episodes of the final season of Thousand Year Blood War in theaters. That's going to be so incredible, so glorious. Hopefully, you guys get to do that as well. Hopefully they do a global release of this, and hopefully more Bleach fans around the world get to experience that, being able to see the first 3 episodes of this final season in theaters. That is a special thing to experience, and hopefully everyone around the world gets to. But with that right around the corner, I had a question in my mind, because obviously people are online excited about Bleach. Bleach fans of old are talking about it. Bleach newer fans that are now getting into the story of Bleach and are loving it and jumping right in and enjoying everything that is, well, Bleach, are also talking about it and are excited, and where everyone has culminated together, and we're all just genuinely excited for finally getting this final season for Bleach. And with that, a question arose in my mind, because obviously, when more people talk about Bleach online, you get a lot of discourse, you get a lot of people, you get a lot of negative Nancy's, you get a lot of individuals that like to put Bleach down and like to say things about Bleach that will completely discredit any of its relevancy. And this video is necessarily, I guess, kind of a response to that. And it's me just asking a simple question, and answering it in the same video, and that is Bleach underrated? And this is a question that I feel like I've had to sort of mentally answer and sort of see being constantly asked for years on end, since I was a Bleach fan way back in the day when Bleach was starting to first air here in the West. People, well, I mean, actually, when it first started airing here in the West, I feel like that conversation wasn't even a question. I feel like people just, you liked Bleach or you didn't like Bleach, and the people that did like Bleach, I mean, there was a reason why Bleach was in the big three back in the day. It's no mystery. I mean, Bleach was hitting on all types of cylinders. But nowadays, people like to look back on it and say, well, it actually wasn't that good, or, well, this arc dragged on, or this arc wasn't as good as the other arc, or I really, really, really enjoyed this other arc, so this other arc, because it wasn't anything like that, it's not as good, without any actual full critical thought or analysis on, well, the story as a whole. And I think the question of, is it underrated, is, well, unfortunately, true. A lot of people don't see Bleach as like a standard like that, even though it is. Like, regardless of however you view Bleach as a series, regardless of however you think of it, regardless of whatever is the reality of the situation, is Bleach is underrated, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not relevant. Bleach is relevant as hell. I mean, Bleach literally, I mean, you can dispute it, but the proof is kind of there when you watch these shows. A lot of the new generation of shonen, they have a lot of things that tie back to Bleach. And it's actually a funny domino effect, because of obviously Yu Yu Hakusho before Bleach, inspiring, well, Taita Kubo to make what he made, in Bleach, and now Bleach is paying it forward in these new series, and obviously we're gonna see it even more with Kagurabaki coming out here soon. But Bleach is underrated, but I don't think it should be underrated, and I don't view it as an underrated anime. I think it's if you watch Bleach, and if you understand the story, the lore, the world building, the character development, and how each character plays a factor into the main bigger story for the, well, for the whole anime, then you're able to understand that it's actually should be well rated and highly rated, for that matter, because of, well, everything that I just said. I think Taita Kubo made a web of different plot points, different avenues where the story goes, that all interweave together, that all at the end of the day come full circle back to, well, Ichigo as a character, what he's going through as a character, and his main story point. I think one of the things that well, it is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't really consider Bleach that high end, is because they think that Ichigo's a boring character, or for some weird reason that his goals are not as important because he's not yelling at the top of his lungs that he wants to be the a pirate king or a Hokage, for that matter. And it's necessarily kind of funny because obviously that is the one thing that has made Bleach, I feel, and will make Bleach, I feel, stand even more the test of time alongside those other manga and anime, is because of how much it has such a relatable appeal to everybody worldwide. Ichigo is a character that you can read and understand. He's not a necessarily like traditional shonen main protagonist, and that is okay. Why? Because as a person that grew up reading a lot of comic books, he reminds me a lot of those superhero main characters where they get forced to have to be pushed into a call of action, and when they do, that's when they show why they are the hero, why they are the. I mean, he kind of lightweight does remind me of like Peter in a sense, and sometimes Bruce in a sense, because of how he's dealing with this trauma and how he's always putting everything on the weight of the world on his shoulders. And at the end of the day, he's doesn't view it that way, because for him it's just, I'm just trying to protect the people that I care about. But to him, the people that he cares about, that's his world. So he's putting them on his shoulder, and he's constantly battling with himself in order to achieve a level of strength that's okay for him to feel satisfied with knowing that his friends and family are at peace and safe. And that's something that is very real. It's not like a simple goal that is simply just, I want to achieve this because I want to be the best. It's a multifaceted, multi-layered reasoning for his achievable of power. And honestly, I think it's so powerful as well, seeing Ichigo struggle throughout the series and his constant growth and constant power scaling. It all actually makes so much sense. When you look at the surface level of Bleach, one of the things that people will talk about is how like the power scaling doesn't make any sense. How like Ichigo's a Mary Sue because his powers don't make any sense. When in actuality, Kubo writes it out right there for you. When he fights Aizen, it's all right there. When he finally understands his father, who his father is, and his lineage as a character, and even understands it furthermore here in the Thousand Year Blood War arc, it's constantly different layers of understanding his own power. And the only reason why his own power means so much and makes so much sense is because it's just tied to himself. When he finally comes to that realization in the Thousand Year Blood War, where the blade is me, that's him finally triumphing over his self deprecating depression, isolation, anxiety, however you want to see it. Ichigo is just battling with his own mental health, and that is the hollow inside of him, and that is what he is constantly fighting. And to see him overcome that and sort of accept who he is with those two blades, of who he fully is as an individual, and finally seeing that as his true power, that's something that's super powerful and super, like, it resonates with us because, well, it's superhuman. It's not something that's just like, hey, I have a demon inside of me, and me and the demon are now like friends, and I'm powerful because of that. Don't I'm and this is not me dissing Naruto, but I just mean like the demon is in Ichigo personifies much more of a mental health struggle that he has of his own personal identity, and it's is him overcoming that, but is not just him overcoming it, but him going through the trials of acceptance and accepting who he is. And I think that's what makes Bleach super powerful. I think that's why I'll always say that it's going to stand the test of time, because it's not necessarily your traditional shonen. Yes, it has shonen battles. Yes, the main character goes and constantly is getting new transformations. And yes, it pays homages to other stuff. But Yu Yu Hakusho also wasn't your traditional shonen. I mean, Yusuke dies immediately. Yusuke gets sent to a new to the basically the shadow realm. I mean, he it's a completely different take on something And that's exactly what Bleach does as well. It takes those ideas and pushes it a little bit further, and even tries to add even more layers to the main character in terms of family lineage and in terms of power. And that's interesting to me. I like that. That makes a completely different spin to the chosen one story, because obviously with Naruto you understand because of Minato was really a gifted ninja, him as his father, and then obviously having that power boost from his mom because of his mom's Uzumaki clan, that extra boost in terms of being able to control the nine-tailed fox because of how much chakra he has. I mean, all, and then Luffy, I don't know too much. I'm not even gonna really try to speak on that, but I just mean like in terms of like bringing that familial lore about family lineage. I think Bleach does it, in my opinion, the best, because when you do get that revelation of his father, it's like whoa, and then eventually in the Thousand Year Blood War, when you get the revelation of his mother, it's like even more whoa, and it's a constant explanation of all these feats that we see Ichigo accomplish throughout his journey that sometimes do on the surface level feel like they're just ass pulls. When you understand his family lineage, his character, it all makes sense. It all comes full circle, and Kubo wrote it perfectly. So, I just think yes, is Bleach underrated? Bleach fans, unfortunately, in the view of the bigger picture, a lot of people are gonna continue to say it and see Bleach as underrated. Do I think it is? Well, no, I don't think it is underrated at all. I think people that, like I said, go into Bleach and enjoy Bleach for what it is will see that it's where it needs to be. I don't think it was part of the big three for a reason, and that's it. That's it. You can make an argument for whatever case you want to do, post certain time periods, this, that, and the third, but the Thousand Year Blood War has been doing numbers, and I'm excited for the final season. Last season that we had, it was almost like 10 out of 10 every episode. I mean, I'm so excited to finally see what the ending of Bleach is, and maybe question mark if it is the ending of Bleach. I don't know. Maybe we'll get to see that strawberry again. I don't know. I don't know. Kubo, where that hell arc at? But anyways, I just want to talk about Bleach a little bit. Like I said, I wanted to ask that question to you guys, so you guys answer that question down in the comment section below. Do you think that Bleach is underrated?